Okay. So the format of these classes will be very simple. So it's going to be a 1.5 hour session. We'll try and stick to the time as much as possible. Uh, so we'll begin with a short prayer, and then we will follow it up with discussing, deep diving into the Bhagavad Gita itself. Today being the first session, we have an introductory session for you. In fact, today and the next week is going to be introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So today's topic is relevance of the Vedas. And again, the next topic also will be related to the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So I hope everyone has a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. We'll be referring to that very regularly during the course. It's going to be at least a year-long course to finish the entire Bhagavad Gita. And those who don't have, towards the end, we'll be sharing a link of registration. So please do fill in your details. It'll help us, also understand you better. Plus, if anyone needs a copy of Bhagavad Gita, we can just send it over to your home. So, sorry. Yeah, and if you are in India, if you're abroad, then again we'll try and send you the copy because, as you know, ISKCON centers are all across the globe. So we'll still try and send you a copy if you don't have one. Yeah. So, like I said, first we'll begin with the short kirtan for 5 minutes. We'll discuss Bhagavad Gita. Then we'll have a good 10 minutes for discussion, any question answers. And in between also, we'll try and keep it interactive. But say, for example, if I am, talking about something and your question is not related, you can leave your question in the chat box, and we'll try and address that, during the course, during the session itself, if possible. Towards the end, we have like a good 10-15 minutes allotted. So my friend Partha Priya Prabhu, who's sitting right next to me, he'll let me know of the questions and we can address them one by one. Otherwise, in between also, like I said, if it's immediately relevant and something that we can quickly answer in 2 3 minutes, we'll try and address it right away. And then we will again have Infinite Kirtan in the end. So that's going to be the entire format of our program every Saturday. So let's start with. Should we start with Kirtan? Okay. So we'll start with a small prayer. I will project my screen, and all of y'all can be on mute, and you can follow along wherever you are. Otherwise, if everyone starts singing, it might just be a bit of chaotic environment because internet something's lagged and it's not in sync. Everyone's requested to please be on mute, and I'll just project the screen right away, and we can start with the beginning prayers. The reason we do these prayers right in the beginning is that we are assembling from different parts, of the world, and with different thoughts in our mind. So immediately, calling out the names of God, especially, will help us bring our minds wherever it's running here and there from different thoughts back to our class, and we'll be able to focus and hear with much more greater attention. So wherever your attention goes, energy flows. So just to bring our attention to the subject of Gita, we start with these prayers. Okay, so we'll be chanting this in a call and response fashion, right? I will be chanting first, leading with one line, and then you can follow that line. Then I'll be singing the next one, and you can follow that, right? It's a very, very simple prayer. I'll quickly touch upon the meaning of the prayer. So it says, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, right? So Radha Madhav is Krishna, and Kunja Bihari is Krishna, who actually plays in the kunjas or the forest or gardens. Kunja means either forest or garden. Gopi Jana Vallabha. So he's the master of the gopis. Girivardhari. He's the lifter of the Govardhan hill. Yashoda Nandana Brajaja Naranjana. Right. So he's the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is the apple of the eye of all the people of Braja. Right. Yamuna Tira Vanachari, and he performs wonderful pastimes on the banks of Yamuna, Yamuna Tira. Right? So that's the meaning of the bhajan, and we'll sing it out. So, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Okay, so let's get on to our topic today. Just give me a second, somehow I'm not able to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's our topic for today, relevance of the Vedas. So just before beginning Bhagavad Gita, it's very, very important we understand why exactly are we studying Bhagavad Gita. Can you share my phone? So it's very, very important for us to understand why we are studying Bhagavad Gita and how is it really relevant in our life, right? So Bhagavad Gita, as all of you all know, is part of our Vedas. In fact, the Vedas are divided into two different sections: Shruti and Smriti. So Shruti is something which is directly spoken by the Lord, right? Or directly given by the Lord. So all these Vedas originally were given to Lord Brahma by Lord Krishna through playing of his flute, right? And in his heart, the Vedas manifested, and from there, it went on from one person to the other, kind of passed. It was preserved orally for a very, very long time, right? And so that's Shruti. Shruti is something which was given directly by the Lord, right? And then there is the other section of the Vedas, which is Smriti. Smriti means realizations of great sages and saints who have actually assimilated the knowledge of the Vedas and then are giving the Vedas with their own realization. To understand this very simply, if anyone is here a lawyer, he would know. So there is law, which is the rule book, right? So there is a rule book of all the laws, and all the laws are mentioned there. And then there are case studies. Case studies are where was that law applied and how was it applied, right? So Smriti is actually the stories and realizations of all these great sages and saints who've applied the law in their own lives and gotten a certain kind of result. So that's the Smriti. It includes the Itihasas, Puranas, right? So many other things. So Bhagavad Gita actually is part of, it's actually Shruti, it's spoken by the Lord directly, but it appears in Smriti, in Mahabharata, right? So it is Shruti which is appearing in between, a section of the Smriti, like that. So it's appearing in Mahabharata, which is part of the Smriti or the Itihasas, right? So how is it really relevant today? Right. So first, let's understand what are Vedas. I just gave you an introduction, but let's understand the meaning of the word Veda. Right. Any guesses what is the meaning of the word Veda? Anyone who wants can raise their hands. I want to answer can raise their hands, and then unmute and say it. What is the meaning of the word Vedas? Anyone? You
Veda
can.
means knowledge.
Veda means knowledge. Yes. Who was that? Sorry. Okay. So Veda means knowledge. That's correct. So Veda actually means all knowledge, right? Not just knowledge. It means all knowledge. It includes all your material sciences, including biology, physics, chemistry, all of that, right? It also includes art, right? Natya Shastra. It includes medicine, Ayurveda. There's so many different sections, right? So Veda literally means all knowledge, and it's not just knowledge of the material things, right? Material education, but much more than that. It also includes spiritual knowledge. So the word Veda literally means all knowledge, right? So when you understand all knowledge, right, is it possible for you to grasp all the knowledge in this life? One particular subject, right? people do PhD, right? And they spend some 15 years or 20 years overall studying to get that PhD, or even more. Actually, people are doing their PhDs even when they are 30, 35 years old. Uh, so one subject to master one subject, and that too, even that in that subject there will be a specialization in which they would have done their PhD, right? So it's very very difficult to assimilate all knowledge put together, right? And understanding this, Vyasdev, what he did was, gave sutras, Vedanta sutras. He compiled Vedanta sutras, which are in the form of aphorisms, right? Sutras means very, very short, two lines, which is actually packed with a lot of meaning. Now, even that was difficult, right? Then Upanishads were given. And like that, there were many, many things given after the Vedas were given just to explain, right? And then itihasas were given, which were almost like case studies. So that became easy for people. Vyasdev then wrote Mahabharat, right? So Mahabharat was so that the general public can understand, what are how to live, what are the principles of religion, and different subjects as well. And there, Bhagavad Gita appears, which is like the essence of all the Vedas. Krishna came to speak, because if you try to read Vedas, you'll be confused at the end of the day. Even if you manage to read all the Vedas, you'll be confused because there are so many different subjects. So Krishna then came to give Bhagavad Gita, which is like the essence, the most important aspect of all the Vedas, right? So he came and gave in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So what happened a few years back was, we were ruled by Britishers, and they uh, actually appointed a lot of scholars to learn Sanskrit language, and they came here and loosely translated the Vedas from Sanskrit to local languages to English, etc. And just a question: if I want to be a master of botany and I want to teach botany, is English knowing English language is sufficient to write a book on botany? Is it sufficient? No, right? I have to actually study botany, be an expert, have a graduation, right? And then only I can actually write a book on botany. That too, if I've really, really, studied well, assimilated knowledge, done some experiments myself, I have some good thing to share with the world in terms of botany. Only then I'll be writing a book on botany. I won't just be, just because I know English, I should start writing botany. I don't know the subject. Similarly, these people who came from the British side, they were not knowing anything about the subject. They simply loosely translated the Vedas, and not everything, of course, but whatever was available. And then they say, "Look, this is mythology, right? This is myth, mythology, right? It's a term we use even when today we watch Ramayana, Mahabharat. People call, "Arey, mythological serial," right? What is really the meaning of word mythology? Mythology comes from the root word myth. Myth means something which is not true. So they very conveniently labeled our history. We are calling it itihas, but they very conveniently labeled our history as myth, because the Britisher has to set the timeline. Na? Only when they started recording history, that is history. Everything before that is myth. So that's our defect also, that we've agreed to all of that. Even till today we use these terms mythology, right? They've very nicely brainwashed us, and we are still using such terms to actually indicate or refer to our scriptures. So we should be very very careful, right, not to use these same terms. So Vedas are all knowledge, and like I said, it's difficult to assimilate all of that. So Bhagavad Gita was given. Uh, so how are they relevant today? Is it really relevant in our lives today? Anyone? I can just take a few thoughts here, maybe three or four thoughts. Anyone who wants to share? Are Vedas really relevant in today's time? Yeah, you can unmute and speak if you want to share. And since I'm not able to see everyone together, I think it'll be nice if you can just call out your name so I can. know who's speaking, and then
Yeah. Sir, can I speak? Anupama here.
yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, the Vedas are relevant because Vedas, I think, are something which gives solutions to problems, and the problems are still prevalent because these problems are intrinsic in the human mankind. It's intrinsic in mankind. So we face the same situation only in different times. So the Vedas are still relevant.
Very nice answer. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any other thoughts? Are Vedas really relevant today? Anyone would like to share? Can unmute and speak.
Srinath here. Yes, of course. These are timeless principles, and the previous answer, I agree with that. Whereas this may have been during the different times, but the history always repeats,
Right.
and whatever they have gone through, we go through the same things even now. In that sense, these are some principles which can be applied irrespective of time and space. Yes, these are relevant today.
Perfect. So great answers. Thank you for sharing. Uh, so yes, Vedas are relevant. And once what happened was, I think somewhere in late 1990s, right? Menaka Gandhi, she was the minister for the environment, and she basically was at Delhi airport and she saw one sannyasi from ISKCON, and she approached him, and she walked up to him and said, you know, what are you guys doing, right? You people are just, talking here and there, but what are you really doing? How are you contributing to the society? What are you doing for the ecology, right? You see the environment is so polluted, the rivers are so polluted, right? So what are you doing? So this sannyasi from ISKCON, he answered that actually, ma'am, we are doing the most thankless task, right? And the most important in this mission to clean the environment. And she was surprised, like, how is that possible? I am actually someone who's working for it. I'm someone who's spending hundreds and thousands of taxpayers' dollars or rupees for that matter, right? In trying to clean up the environment, in trying to clean our rivers. But if you see, even till today, are the rivers any cleaner? Although so much of money has been spent uh, since 1990s, of course, even before that, are the rivers any cleaner? No, right? So he said, yes, no matter how much money you spend, you won't be able to clean up the rivers, you won't be able to save the environment. Why? Because our hearts are polluted, and that is the job that we are doing, to clean the polluted hearts. Till the time the pollution is there in the heart, sorry, till the time there is pollution in the heart, it's impossible. And that's actually a reflection what we see outside. The collective pollution of the heart is seen immediately outside in terms of the environment. So that's the most important job and thankless job that he said he's doing, right? So it struck her very hard, right? And we'll see how that is really happening. You know what this is? Oh, sure. Am I not audible? Okay. Is this better? Am I? Yeah, this is better. Okay. So this is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. This actually shows up on the map, right? This is the world map, and this is just close to the United States. And you can see even on the map, this shows up so clearly. This is actually all the plastic waste, all the sewage and collected from these big cities, and this actually shows up on the map. That is the amount of garbage that is produced. So it's a big problem. The ships get stuck, and they're trying all possible things to clean up this area. And it's not just in one place, in multiple places. Apart from this, right, there are so many spots which are having radioactive garbage, which is so dangerous. So what's happening is, because of a lot of, because of consumerism essentially, right, we are consuming so many things. Even if, just take a case, even if there is one child whose birthday is there, there are 50 people who know the child. Each one of them, they would get, some toys, and ultimately at the end of the day, the child gets some 50 toys. He can play only with a few, and the rest of them is just lying somewhere, in the basement, in the dormitory, or some corner of his house, and it becomes a waste at the end of the day. So like that, because we are in a habit of consuming more and more, all of this is happening around us, and we are completely unaware. The minute the trash goes out of my house, I cannot see it, it's all fine. Till the time I don't see it, it's all fine, but it's actually piling up, right? There are so many landfills also, and in fact, United States have declared that all their rivers are polluted, not fit for drinking. You cannot, nobody can actually put a glass of inside any river in America and drink, because they're claiming that all the water is actually polluted. So no one should drink water. That was like a government statutory warning. What happens is, with all of that consumerism, people go crazy, right? So I think from this photograph you can understand that 50, 60, 50 years back, maybe not, I don't know when the plane actually commercially started flying, but I guess 50 years back, people could actually walk up to the plane and see off their relatives. Can you do that today? No, right? You cannot do that. Why? Because somebody who who thought, okay, let me, just put a bomb and blow everything just for fun, right? So all of that, after this, all of that security came into place. You have so many checks, and actually we are all miserable, spending 1.5 hours, 2 hours, queuing up to go through the security to actually get to the plane. So earlier, actually, things were better, but because, people went out of control, so all these securities then had to be put in place. In schools also, in 1950s or 60s, especially in the US, the problem was, children not doing their homework. The problem was, children would stick gum on the, seat of the teacher. And that used to be the problem. Nowadays, they have metal detectors to, you know identify if someone is carrying a gun or not. That is the state we've reached, and I'm sure soon in India also it might be the same situation. There's so much drugs anyways being peddled in colleges these days as well. Medicine, we actually consume so much medicine. It was statistics in 2015 that, and especially in the UK also, plus US and some parts of Australia, the water is recycled. So when you eat medicines, half of it goes in trash. You might just, use a few medicines out of the entire lot, and it expires after some time. You don't use it, or you don't need the entire thing. You throw it. Right? So everything becomes actually waste, and it enters the water. Now, especially in the US, there is statistics that every glass of water you drink, it has the nanoparticles of some of these antibiotics, and the body is now becoming more and more used to these antibiotics, just by drinking water, not even consuming these pills. So they have to create newer and newer drugs, of higher power of antibiotics, so that it may actually have some effect on the body. So that is the state we've kind of got ourselves into. Sorry. So we can see how, we are trying to solve one problem, and it's actually escalating to become a bigger problem. Right? Solution to one problem leads to another bigger problem. So now I want you all to think of other such examples where you feel, with 60, 70 years back we were not having this, today we solved for it, but it's now become another big problem. and it has created many more problems. So think of such examples, and maybe we can have 4 or 5 people share those examples. Anyone can think of something that was a problem we solved for it, but now the solution has become a bigger problem.
Technology for me.
Technology, yes. Can you elaborate what exactly has it done?
Because technology, I personally think is it's 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 not only a boom for us, but it's also a it's negatively impacted today's generation, the youth as well as ourselves. We become very lazy in terms of figuring out things ourselves. We just go on to the Google and find something that we can. But earlier we used to do a lot of reading, we used to research. We were more smart. I think we were more smarter then than as compared to now, because we I feel we are very much handicapped because we have been there's so much of technology and automation around us that everything happens very quickly without using your mind.
Yes. Now every single calculation happens on the calculator
Absolutely.
or on the phone. Yes, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any other thoughts? Anything which was, I mean,
Mobile
technology
phones.
as a whole is like a bigger. Yes, someone was saying. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
mobile phones. Here in New Delhi, all the sparrows has disappeared, so it is impacting the ecological life balance, we can say.
Perfect. So in Delhi, particularly, I have not included that picture, but if you see Yamunotri, the image of Yamunotri, such nice clean water. In fact, I had a fortune of being there last year. So such nice clean water, you can literally put a glass or put a bottle and drink it, and it's so sweet. But the minute it comes down, reaches Delhi area, and I was passing by in a train going to Vrindavan, and there were some beautiful fields, and suddenly I saw this, big nala or big sewage. And I was like, what is this in between, such beautiful fields? And I learned that it was actually Yamuna. It was such a bad state. And rightly said, so the mobile waves actually not just sparrows or small birds, they also affect the bees, which totally affects the cross pollination essentially. Any other thoughts on something which was, we thought was broken, we tried to fix it, and we've created a bigger problem for ourselves?
Automobiles.
Automobiles, yes. How?
Uh, we wanted to travel faster and quicker, and now we have a problem of plenty of pollution created by that. And now we are moving to electric vehicles, which are going to have the problems of their own in terms of disposable of lead batteries and all those issues. So we're just creating, rather than creating solutions, we are creating more problems there.
Perfect. And you see the whole idea of use and throw has come into play, right? Now, you earlier you would just use a cloth to wipe your face. Now you have, tons and tons of tissues. You just one wipe and throw it, right? Even your razor blades, everything, it's becoming one time use. You use it and throw it. In fact, all the manufacturers of your mobile phones and smartphones, they make it in such a way that it won't last beyond 2 or 3 years. You have to change. They actually design it in such a way that even if it's, in pristine condition, it'll stop working after 3 or 4 years. So that you have to actually change. Of course, there is peer pressure around, so many advertisements that are just flashing the latest mobile phone. So you would anyways be kind of pressurized to buy a new one. But even otherwise, they're actually designing it in a way that it doesn't last. Earlier things used to last. I remember my first computer lasted for, it was a desktop. It lasted for good 8 to 10 years, I guess. But anyways, right now you see how the situation is. Every other month you have to get some repair, or ultimately replace it in 3 or 4 years. So yeah. So we see how, and everyone is trying to cheat in terms, like I just said, everyone's trying to cheat, and they're trying to milk as much as possible in terms of getting your money. And because of all this consumerism, right, because of this rat race, there is fear. I should have more, the other person should have less. There is envy, because of which there is fear. And individually also there is a lot of fear. right? I have to have insurance. I have to have so many other things in place to be called settled in life, right? And this fear on a larger scale is manifested in terms of the country's defense, etc. Almost 60 to 70% of the world wealth, not just one country, the entire world's wealth, 60 to 70% goes into defense. They're creating more and more atomic bombs, right? They're creating more and more nuclear missiles, and it's like a time bomb. It's just sitting somewhere. Any crazy person can press the button anytime, and millions of people will die. So that's what we've come to in terms of all the material advancement that we have, and the so-called solutions that we've created for ourselves. But we've created bigger problems actually. So what how does Vedas help here? How can, like, and I would say, I would make this statement that scriptures or Vedas or spirituality has never been more relevant than today. Has never been more relevant than today. Why? Because, like that sannyasi answered Menika Gandhi, it's the pollution of the heart which is causing lust, greed, anger, and there's so many things, madness. One particular episode, yes. So there was a biggest fire that happened, that took place, world's biggest fire. It was not some forest fire. It was actually in New Jersey, and you will be so surprised to understand how the fire started. So it was the biggest fire, and so many different malls and factories nearby, they were all engulfed in that fire. What was the cause of that fire? They started investigating because it was a big event, right? And so many lives lost, so much of loss of property. So they started researching the origin of the fire, and ultimately they could find out two boys, two teenagers. They were actually in one of the Walmart shops, and they started lighting a fire because they saw a big ball of fire or a blast in the movies, but they wanted to experience what 2D देख करके बोर हो गए थे. They wanted to see it live. They wanted to see it in front of their eyes. That's how that fire started. It was the biggest fire in the history of the world. So just imagine, and again, there's a European Union survey that by the time someone passes out of school, he would have easily gone through, some 80,000 violent acts of violence. He would have seen that on television, even just with the casual 1 or 2 hours of watching TV every day. He would have easily seen 80,000 acts of violence, some thousand number of rapes, so many other things. Do you think after filling all of this in our heads, right from the childhood, we will sit very calmly like Lord Ramchandra? Oh, I am so peaceful. No, right? What will happen after seeing all of this, right? We will want to do it, and that's what this fire was about. They wanted to actually experience it live. So Vedas or scriptures and spirituality in general is the most relevant today to cure this pollution of heart. And one of the biggest solutions it provides, we'll see right now. Vedas describe how sound is the most powerful thing. If someone is sleeping, you can actually call the person's name, and they can actually come. They can actually be awakened. And in fact, the creation itself started from sound. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, right? So it's actually Brahmaji was given the knowledge of Vedas, and through sound, the creation started, right? So there are 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So it goes from the most gross, earth, and more subtle, water, fire, air, even more subtle, ether, the most subtle. So creation actually started reverse. It started from sound, ether, and then it happened more and more gross, more and grosser things started manifesting. So that's how the creation happened. So sound is very powerful, and we look at how powerful the sound is. So question to you all: what all do we hear before getting into the power of sound? What all do we hear? People can quickly, who wants to share, you can unmute your mics and share. In our daily life, just imagine yesterday or today, since morning, what all you heard?
We hear good music.
Good music, yes.
Shlokas we keep on listening. Lectures like
Okay.
Voice of birds.
Voice of birds, very nice. Yes. Anything else? Yes.
beeps of vehicles.
Sorry.
Beeps of vehicles.
Beeps of horns of vehicles honking. Yes.
There's construction going on around my place, so lots and lots of heavy duty equipment bashing up things.
Sound of water running from the tap.
Sound of water running from the tap. Very interesting. Yes. Anything else we hear?
The aircraft noises over the house. Aeroplanes flying over.
Aeroplanes flying over. I could barely hear you, but yeah, I could catch that. Aeroplanes flying over. Yes. Zoom call. Zoom call. Yes. Anything else?
I think early morning, the rustling of the leaves and the sounds of the birds, they are the best early morning.
And rest of the day?
Rest of the day is cacophony.
Yes.
Sound of our mother during work from home.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Sound of the kids playing in the garden.
Okay. Yeah, everyone is like really sharing very good stuff. Nothing bad we hear. Some things we heard like construction and sound of honking cars and all of that. Anything else? Nobody spoke of the mobile phone. That's so.
It's muted. No, that's why.
It's muted.
Because there are 4-5 mobiles in the house. Everybody has to keep it mute.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, we hear a lot of these different things and much more. And television, nobody said. I'm so surprised. I don't know if that is true. Then I'm really happily surprised. It's not true. Then, anyways, people are just trying to be good here. So, like people said, we hear some birds. We can hear lightning sometimes during the rainy season. We can go to a nice orchestra and hear some music. We get on phone, on so many things. Gossip, right? The biggest thing, and news, jokes, all of these things we hear very regularly. Okay. So, like I kind of just explained, creation began with sound. How can sound affect us? Very important. How can sound affect us? Anyone? How can sound affect us?
So sound in terms of words, they affect our thinking, they affect our minds.
Yes, very good. I will stop sharing and see who was that. Okay, who was that?
That was me, Minnie.
Okay, that was a very amazing point. Yes. So in terms of words, they affect us. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
If it is positive words, they encourage us, they motivate us, and sometimes because of the negative words around, they discourage us, they pull us down.
Perfect. Yes. Anyone else wants to share? How does sound affect us?
If it is music, sir, it gives us soothing and make our mind calm.
Correct. And if it's not music, then? Okay. So, like rightly said, sound can have very drastic effect. Right? It can immediately create fights. You say one small word here and there to someone, and they're ready to fight with you. So this is on an individual level. Hitler, he himself, I don't recall studying, at least you might have, but he himself, I don't think he fought on the front. What Hitler did was he spoke, and through his words, through this energy of his words, hundreds and thousands of people in Germany were motivated to wage a world war. And so much destruction happened. So many millions of people died just because of Hitler's voice. They were just waiting for Hitler to give instructions. And Hitler actually, he was the one who instigated everyone to start a world war. So sound is really powerful. It can actually, wreak havoc across the globe. This is a good example of that. Like someone said, if it's music, it can actually calm the mind down, and you can be at peace. Depends on the music. If you hear someone, a loved one, speaking abusive words, it can break a person. And similarly, if someone is in real trouble, some calming words can actually save a life. So physical perception of the sound. A high-pitched sound can actually break a glass. So even physically, we know that sound is very, very powerful. A sonic boom can actually break a wall. Gunshot can cause an avalanche. We actually use ultrasound to measure the depth of uh, uh, what is that, sonar? Yeah, we can to measure the depth of the ocean. So sound actually is very, very powerful, and ultrasound actually can dissolve the kidney stones. So sound is very, very powerful, and we actually can perceive the power of sound in our day-to-day lives as well. But it's not just limited to this. Emotional and mental effect is, like we just discussed, is even more. And like I was giving an example during the 3-day Bhagavad Gita course, you never hear someone that, oh, I met an accident, I broke an arm. It was so painful that I thought of committing suicide. You will never hear something like that. The pain in the arm cannot be so much that it pushes someone to commit suicide. But the mental, and emotional imbalance because of somebody's words can be so devastating that it pushes someone to the point of committing suicide as well. So nervous breakdowns. It can actually give ultimate joy also. Some words of praise here and there, right? If some relative appreciates you, or some friend appreciates you, feels so nice. So it can actually make or break someone, literally. So this is Dr. Emoto, sorry. He's basically from Japan. He had actually done a deep research on effects of sound on water crystals. So what he did was he actually exposed a glass of water to different kinds of sound, different samples of glass of water, different sounds, and then he froze the crystals and he studied the crystal formation. So when he actually exposed the sound to so water to actually some ordinary sound, the structure was little random. There was no formation. But when actually the water was exposed to, say for example, a prayer was said in front of the water, and he froze those crystals, studied, it actually formed some very beautiful patterns. And you can see the picture on the left bottom, right? So this is not, I have not made this up. You can actually Google him, Dr. Emoto, and you'll find these pictures of his study. It's very, very mind-boggling, actually. He exposed water to heavy metal music, and this is how it looked, the water crystals. And similarly, when he exposed water to classical music, to folk dance music, it looked much better, and there were clear patterns forming. Oops. Oh, what is this? Sorry. So he actually wrote some words and labeled those jars of water, and with things like "you make me sick, I will kill you," and again froze that water and studied the crystals. So it was very random. And when he actually stuck the words love all over it, it basically it almost looks like a jewelry here. Right? So polluted water, holy water, and he studied. He has many samples of these images essentially. In fact, it is said. Okay, let me say this first. So we are actually made up of 72% of our body is made of water. So imagine what we hear throughout the day, how it affects our health. The words we speak to others, how would that be affecting them? And some bad words directed to us, how it affects our own body. So there is a village in Africa wherein the local tribe there, if they want to cut a tree, they don't use axe or any tools. The whole village will gather around this tree and curse it. The whole village comes around the tree and starts saying bad words and cursing the tree. And in a matter of a week, the tree will fall. You can also Google this up. It's a true thing. So it's amazing the kind of effect sound has on us. So again, this is his realizations or conclusion that how even a small prayer is, it was so wonderful because that is actually is a blessing because it's affecting my body in a positive way and encouraging words, etc. So he's encouraging people to say encouraging words to others and not say bad things. So that's his conclusion of his research. So we understand that how sound is very powerful. Now this is an exercise as a homework for you all because we have a very limited time span here in the class. So this is an exercise for reflection. You all can, and we're not ending the class. There are a few more slides to go. This is an exercise for you to analyze, like we just did. A few people kind of answered, but you analyze nicely and just for your own understanding. So you analyze nicely. What do you hear throughout the day? What do you hear throughout the day? And write it on a piece of paper and think how you can actually improve your hearing. You can think of what you should do to include better things for hearing. So everyone can do this exercise. We wanted to do it in pairs, but I think we are a little short on time. So it's as a homework exercise. You can do it today. Anyone who wants to share right now, they can. If someone wants to share right now, if they've already thought, otherwise you can reflect, take your time and reflect and write it on a piece of paper. We will also be sharing a link where you can, if someone wants to share, they can post their reflections on that link. And we can read out some of those reflections next week with all of us, between all of us. We can share that. This is very important and will help you analyze your own day-to-day life and take some corrective measures. It might be very surprising for some of us how deep we are into a big soup in terms of the kind of things we hear, because as the input will be, so will be the output, right? You cannot expect to throw in a lot of garbage and expect some nice sugarcane juice coming out. No, what goes in will come out. So if you want to change your attitude and behavior, you can start with controlling the input. All right. So how to receive sound? Sound, we just saw, is the greatest means of transformation when we receive it well. So there are some ways to receive it as well. So while hearing, if you're hearing some good things, you need to hear with rapt attention, maintain a good eye contact. If there is some speaker talking, we can maintain a good eye contact. We can avoid distraction, not to be in a hurry, not to do 100 things or think of different things. Therefore, we sang Radha Madhav right in the beginning so that we are focused. Not and note taking. So it's in Kali Yuga, it is said in this age, writing is actually memory. So if you take notes, you can actually remember things and you'll be able to share with others also. Ask questions and meditate or reflect on the subject, right? Therefore, we've given you an exercise on reflection. So reflect on what you heard and think on ways how do you apply this knowledge in your day-to-day life. So that's very important. That's the goal actually of these classes, or even going through Bhagavad Gita for that matter. It's not just for hearing and letting it go from the other end. but it's actually hearing, meditating, assimilating that knowledge, meditating on it, and applying it practically in your day-to-day life. Right? That's where you'll start living the Bhagavad Gita. So after, yeah, we just discussed after hearing, meditating, and we can also discuss amongst friends, and we can memorize, use recordings to actually cultivate the habit of hearing. And if you miss something out, we can actually revisit it, right? So now coming to the initial piece, what we discussed, purification of the polluted heart. So this is the best offering of the scriptures, right? Mantra meditation. We discussed this also with some members here who are part of the 3-day course, but we'll discuss this a little bit more elaborately. So what is mantra? Right? Man means mind. Tra means to deliver. Right? So manaha trayate iti mantra. That which delivers the mind is called a mantra. So everyone can hear? Input here? Okay. So we will just see a small video, and it's just, I think, 5 to 7 minutes. We'll go through the video, and then I think post that in 5 minutes, I'll stop speaking and I'll open the floor for questions. There's a short video. It'll give you a brief intro on mantra meditation, and also you can hear the nice singing. So I'll just play this. Everyone can pay attention, please.
At one stage, I did an exercise with myself, and that was I thought back over my life and thought about which were the moments where I was happiest. And as I did that little exercise, I realized the moments when I'm at my happiest, at my peak happiness, is when I'm singing kirtan. And so I realized that kirtan is the thing that brings me the greatest fulfillment and happiness. Just being there with other people, sharing kirtan, seeing their own happiness unfold, seeing their hearts open as they become free. They become free of fears and anxieties for that time while they're singing, while they're present, as they become peaceful and their hearts open with joy, with love. That just gives me the greatest fulfillment and sense of purpose and meaning that I'm able to contribute to other people's happiness in life. My dad gave me the name Prahlad. Prahlad means one who gives happiness. And so the way I try to live up to my namesake is by sharing the happiness of kirtan.
ढाई बजे का अपॉइंटमेंट लेने का 2:30. हाँ पापा को भेजने गए, थोड़ा सीनियर सिटीजन है ना, ऐसा बोला कि थोड़ा
Kirtan is an ancient form of meditation that has been practiced for thousands of years. We sing mantras. Man means mind and tra means to free. So kirtan frees the mind of what? It frees the mind of anxiety. It frees the mind of fear. Recently, I sung kirtan on top of the Great Wall of China. And as I was standing on this massive edifice, thousands of kilometers long, I saw it as an embodiment of fear and greed. These human emotions, these are conditioned emotions which cover the soul. They have become like walls around the soul. Fear and greed. We put them up around us. We try to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves. Kirtan brings those walls down, takes away the fear, takes away the greed, allows the pure soul to shine forth. The soul has nothing to fear. The soul needn't be greedy. The soul is full of love. When you're full of love, you don't have to fear. You don't have an idea to take, but rather to give and to share. So the more people do kirtan, the more people become loving and free, the better the world will be as a place to live.
Yeah, stop sharing. Share. I mean, share. Oh, sorry. I think now it'll be much better. I was not sharing with sound.
I always ask people at the end of a kirtan session to take a positive experience with them, to carry it with them in their hearts, and to act as a beacon in society, a beacon of light. Someone who's giving to others, helping to uplift others, to contribute to others, rather than taking or creating more darkness. To carry that light in their own lives by practicing kirtan. You don't need a big group. Just a few other people, friends, family. You can even sing kirtan by yourself. I often do at home with the harmonium. And you can experience the same bliss.
Okay, so I think Dr. Prabhu here, he's saying that it's not very clear. So what we'll do is we'll share the video link in the group so everyone can hear what Sri Prahlad Prabhu in the video he's saying as well. So we'll do that. So coming back to mantra, so mantra is basically a combination of extremely powerful transcendental sound. So even material sound, we saw how powerful it is. So of course, when we talk of spiritual sound, it carries immense energy and power. So how it works, we'll quickly see. Okay, so this is let me should we do this exercise? How much time we have? We have 5 minutes. Okay, so I'll just get something. should do this as a homework exercise. Okay, so actually, we do this normally when we are in a physical class with other with everyone, but you can try this at home if you have matchsticks with you. So the task is to make 4 equal triangles using 6 matchsticks. So I'm sure, I'm sorry that we did not inform you in beforehand, but if people have access to matchsticks or even toothpicks for that matter, have access to some toothpicks. So try and make 4 equal triangles using only 6 equal size matchsticks. Don't Google the answer, please. People who have access to some matchsticks can try it. If you try it, you will actually understand what we are trying to say. So if you have access to matchsticks, please go get them, fetch them, and try to make 4 equal triangles using 6 matchsticks.
Can I show you, sir?
Yes, please. Let me just I'll stop sharing, go to the gallery view so I can see it. Yeah.
So this is 1,
Okay.
this is 2, this is 3, and the whole thing, this upper one is 4.
Okay, we have to make 4 equal triangles. 4 equal triangles.
Okay, equal. So 2 or
Equilateral
not.
triangles.
Okay.
Using
Okay.
6 matchsticks.
Okay, just let me try again.
Can I show you?
You have to really
Is
bring
it?
it close.
Square
Is
diagonal.
this it?
Okay, one by one.
Square diagonal, Prabhu.
Square and diagonal.
Is that it?
No. Square and diagonal won't work because your matchsticks will fall short. Yes, I think
Is that it?
Sharmin. Just a
Yeah, Perrin. Charmin is my daughter.
Oh, sorry. Okay. No, not even that. Because
No?
yeah, the matchstick won't be of equal sizes in that case as well. The matchsticks are of a fixed size. Yeah. All the sticks have to be of the same size.
Got it.
Anyone else who's tried, who wants to share?
Square diagonal ने येते ना 1 2 3 4 4 येतात आहेत ना.
You actually physically put and keep, so that won't work because your diagonals won't touch the edges. It won't form a triangle.
हाँ, yes Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You are on mute, so yeah.
Is that it?
Can you just bring it a little closer? I'm unable to see. No, you just made a square and 4. So that won't be utilizing, it'll use more than 6 actually. You've done the diagonal lines a little bigger. So it won't be equal size sticks. And
The diagonal won't be equal?
No, the diagonal sticks needs to be bigger, right? Pythagoras theorem, right? The diagonal line is bigger than the sides, correct?
Okay.
So we are creating equilateral triangles with equal size sticks. Yeah.
Can I show? It is falling off. 1 second.
Can you see the last one below?
Okay, what is that?
Last one below.
I can.
Is my screen visible?
Just wait a second, Praveen. Just wait a second. I can see your screen. I'll just answer Sujata first. So these are not equilateral triangles. They are not equal sizes. They are not of equal sizes. They're four, but they're not equal size. Yes, Praveen, I can see. Okay, you've used just a second. Just a second. Yeah, you've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, pretty interesting. That's very close.
Actually, I have made 5, but you can count these 4 equal.
No. So we need only 4. Only
Okay.
4. Yes, Priya, you can show.
Oh God. Wait, one. Can you see it?
I can, but that's not the correct one. I think we already discussed this one. There was
It's a
some-
square with 2 crosses.
Yeah, the 2 crosses won't touch the ends. If you remember the Pythagoras theorem, the diagonal one has to be sum of the other 2. Square of the sum of the other 2.
Square lines are overlapping then?
No, so I'm saying the middle ones which are diagonals, they won't touch the edges. Yes. No, we need 4, Arindam.
Yeah.
Those are just
Can I
2
show?
triangles. Yeah, those are just 2. I think Praveen also showed exactly this one, Chinmay. But these are more than 4 triangles, right?
I have made one more combination. Can I show that?
Yes, please.
Like this, if I overlap like this.
But then, the sticks are falling out, right?
Yeah, it is falling out.
So are they equilateral triangles?
I think so.
Okay, I think Srinath, you want to share?
Yeah, the one at the top. Can you see it?
It's a little hard to see. Just zoom in. Yeah. Okay. So again, that is the same diagonal square with diagonal in between, which others also showed.
Yeah, it is overlapping, but I think that is from a equal.
Anyone else? We'll take 2 more people attempting this, 2 or 3 more at best. Yes. Anyone?
Can I show, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Can I show?
Let me first finish with Shantala. You were
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll come to you. Yes, Shantala, please share.
So now, start video. Yeah.
Oh, I think
Can you see, sir?
I cannot see. I think you need to focus the camera where you've created that with the matchstick.
Okay.
I can just see your hand. You can just focus a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, I can see Kavita. You've tried. These are just 2 triangles. Yes. Sorry.
Can I share with you?
Yes.
Yeah, the bottom one. Can you see it?
Please zoom in a little bit. No, even that won't, because again the diagonals will be longer. That won't work.
No.
Yeah. Someone else? Yes, Bhaumik, you want to show?
Yeah. Can I share my screen?
Please, please. Is he able to share his screen?
I think you'll have to
Give the right
screen sharing is disabled.
Yeah. Can you enable it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one which I was also going to show.
Which one? The star one.
The one which someone presented.
Komal, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, just focus where I can just see the bed right now. just maybe a little to the right. Yeah. No, that's also not Correct.
Can I share? Can I share?
Yes, please.
Just see.
I think it's the same star one which was just.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Okay, should I give the answer?
Yeah, please.
All right. So let me share my screen. All right. So when we discuss this, okay, I can see it's one more attempt, but again, not exactly what we are looking for. So that's the answer.
We didn't thought of pyramid.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So when we discussed, or when I gave the problem, we all were thinking two-dimensional.
Three-dimensional.
Yeah, no one thought 3D. All of them were attempting two-dimensional, right? And
But I tried it and I was successful.
oh, very nice. Okay. So Einstein said no problem can be solved on the same level of consciousness that created it, right? So we cannot solve our problem with the same level of conscious that actually started the problem. So the point I'm trying to make here is we need to actually uplift our consciousness to be able to actually solve our problem. We saw so many problems, right? We need to actually uplift our consciousness to solve our problems. And how does mantra meditation helps? I can explain this. This is actually a study that was done. So actually mantra meditation takes one into the relaxed state of mind with alertness, right? There is hyperactive zone, active zone. There is alpha zone, which is the zone where the most brilliant ideas come to mind. There is drowsiness and sleepy zone, right? So you may have experienced this when you're about to sleep but you're not sleepy. You're very relaxed, right? You're lying on the bed but you're alert at the same time. I remember when long back, I think I almost like 10-12 years back, I somehow had a knack for writing scripts. So, and it used to be whenever I went to sleep, that time the most brilliant ideas will come for me to write. And I would actually get up in the middle of the night and start writing. So that's the alpha zone, and mantra meditation actually takes you to the alpha zone. There was also a survey done by IIM Ahmedabad on leadership. So what is the most essential quality for leadership? They did a study, and they figured that for a leader to be successful, he needs to be happy. He needs to be very happy, and thereby he can actually make others whom he is leading happy as well. And they also figured that devotees of Lord Krishna are the most happiest. And it's their survey. It's probably published on the internet as well. You can look up. It's a study by IIM Ahmedabad, right? And how mantra meditation works really. So we are faced with so many problems, and they're tall like skyscrapers. It's difficult to even look at them, and you'll go like this and your neck will break, right? So it's tall like skyscrapers and surrounding you, and it's very difficult to get out of the situation. You can't even look at how high the problem is. So with this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what happens is it's almost like a helicopter that comes, lifts your consciousness way above, and then all these problems, they appear like small tiny things, right? And you can easily transcend them. So to lift our consciousness, we need mantra, Maha Mantra, right? So that's what the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra does. It is the third dimension, which basically lifts our consciousness to the next level, next dimension altogether, spiritual dimension. And from there, when we look at our problems, they appear very, very tiny. Like from a flight or a plane, when you see the buildings, they appear like small matchboxes, right? Similarly, when we chant, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, our problems, they are the same, but they look very, very tiny. And with that, relaxed mind, you can actually logically approach to solving those problems rather than just being overwhelmed by all of this. So with that, I will kind of just list down some benefits. You can connect to God, to higher consciousness. It helps to remove the covering which clouds the mind. It gets you, focused, gets you relaxed, cleans the heart of unwanted things, right? Helps with the pollution of the heart, right? It controls it, and you get the power to control the mind. You get the power to say no to things which you do not want to do or bad habits you want to give up. So these are just some of the benefits of mantra meditation. So with that, I'll end my class here. It's almost 12:26. Yeah. So maybe 5 minutes we can address some questions, and post which again I'll take 5 additional minutes. We'll quickly do some kirtan again to end the class on a high note, and then we can meet the next week. So any questions, any comments, any reflections, whatever you heard today, you like something that stuck with you, you can reflect on that, share with us. It'll be nice to hear you. So anyone who wants to share. You can even say what is your takeaway from this class. So that is something that you can share with us, or any questions. Is there any questions in the chat? You can unmute and ask. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay. So Meghna, you can go first, and who was the next one who was saying something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Danvat Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, it's regarding the homework question. You
Yes.
said we have to observe the sound, and then I didn't understand like what you
Yeah,
put in.
you have to be conscious of what are you hearing throughout the day. Tomorrow when you get up,
Hmm.
right? Or even you can reflect today, throughout the day, what you heard. Just make a note of things you hear, how much time you're exposed to what kind of sound. Thereby you can deduce or understand, what kind of consciousness will be, right? Because if you are, exposed to more and more negative sound, that is something you should proactively do something about and change, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
because I live near the airport,
okay.
so there's constant flights noise,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
keeps irritating me. So I mean, that is something which I struggle with the whole day, I feel.
Sure. So let's start with the circle of influence. So whatever we can change, right?
Okay.
Let's try and change that. Let's not look at things which are out of our control right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kavita, I think you had a question, or you want to share?
Sir, I want to know how we are going to learn this Bhagavad Gita.
Yes. So, like I said, today, and maybe even the next week, there'll be, it's almost like an introduction to Bhagavad Gita, because we need to first establish our faith in the scriptures, right? And then learning Bhagavad Gita will be very easy. The next week we'll be discussing from Bhagavad Gita as it is, the introduction, spirit of understanding Bhagavad Gita. In what way should we approach Bhagavad Gita? And then we will go chapter by chapter. We'll be doing some 7 to 10 shlokas every week, right? And thereby, in a year or so, we'll finish the entire Bhagavad Gita. Does it sound good? Any other doubts, even related to the course, or any other questions of what we went through?
We need to chant every day. How is it? I want to know what will be the duration. Is there any exam or
Okay. So we'll be giving you small exercises which are, so again, this course is not your typical, just for a certification course. This is more of understanding Bhagavad Gita deeply and trying to practically apply that in your life. So that's the motto or agenda of this particular course. So we may have certifications. I mean, that is possible, but that's not the goal. Certification is not the goal. Our goal is to understand Bhagavad Gita deeply, There is for people who are already connected to ISKCON since a few years, they would know there is a course called Bhakti Shastri, which is almost like a degree, not really an official degree course, but a degree course in ISKCON itself. So, but that is done only when you have already gone through Bhagavad Gita once or twice, and you have a certain level of practice, right? So then that is the bare minimum requirement for you to enter Bhakti Shastri course, and you'll have an official certification there. But this course, although the discussion points will be quite similar, the knowledge might be on a similar level. We'll try and go as deep as in Bhakti Shastri. But at the end of the day, that the agenda is not just a certification. The agenda is to understand and apply and change our lives for good.
Yes, sir. True, true. Sir, I have one more point. My Masi and my mama is going to join this course. So, is it going to be only in English, or are you going to make them understand in Hindi also?
It's going to be primarily English. I might throw in some Hindi words here and there, but I think many of them are also joining not just from India. So, uh, looking at that, we might just continue primarily in English. If someone prefers Hindi, we can look at maybe some similar batch, maybe not during this time, and some other speakers who are looking at Hindi courses, so we can connect them very easily. Not a problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any doubts or any reflections of what you liked, what you heard today?
So I wanted to ask one question. This
Yes.
is regarding to the sounds that we were talking about, that
Yes.
we hear in day-to-day life and how they affect you.
Correct.
Just a small example, like one of my friend from the group just asked. She stays very close to the airport, so there's a lot of noise and commotion throughout the day. So an example of like Mumbai city, when we are traveling, you can hear this honking noise in the signals continuously.
Right.
They really bother you. They really, when there's continuous noise, it affects you negatively. So now that's just an example. So how is that we should not get affected from the sound? How should we keep ourselves calm? Like simple thing, like staying at home also. You have kids around, people around. You're working. You are focused into something, but constantly you have that sound, noise, keeping buzzing you continuously. So how is that you keep your calm? How is that you will not get affected with it and work with your own flow?
Right. So that's what this course is about. Thank you so much for this wonderful question. So our motto is page by page, become a sage. Right. So we'll go through the pages of Bhagavad Gita, learn practically, and it comes through practice. It's not a one-day thing that from tomorrow I make a switch. So it takes a good amount of practice. As much as there is negative sound which we may not have control over, that we are exposed to, we can fill our lives with positive sound, right? Change the subject, change your fortune, right? If you change the subject of what you're hearing, right, you can actually change your fortune. That's it's almost like a mantra you can memorize. Change the subject and change your fortune. So what, even we have control over certain things. Like I said to her, let's look at the area of influence first. So what am I speaking, right? What am I discussing? Am I just gossiping? We have control of all these things, at least, right? Forget the other externals. So let's start there. And even having slight tweaks here and there in that will create such a change in your life. You will be you will probably experience it for yourself once you start applying it. So that's what we are trying to do here, to fill our lives with the spiritual sound energy, so that we are least affected by the external material energy sounds. That's exactly the agenda of the entire course, rather. So thank you so much for that question.
Thank you, sir.
I hope I answered it.
Yeah.
All right, it's 12:35. So anyone has more questions, you can put that in the chat, or I think Partha Priya Prabhu will also be sharing a link where everyone can go and put in their questions. Even later on, you can access that link. We'll share that in the group as well. You can put your questions, you can put your reflections, and also please do the exercise. And you will awareness is the first thing. You get aware, become aware of what are you exposed to. and then you can work on it slowly and steadily. So please put your reflections regarding this particular exercise also in the link that'll be shared shortly, either in the WhatsApp group or here as well. So with that, oh, he's already shared. It was very fast. So he's already shared that in the chat, I believe, and people can access and go do the exercise, reflect nicely, and then share your reflections on the link. So we'll end with a quick kirtan. Okay, just few minutes of short kirtan, and then we'll end for the day. Yeah, everyone can please be on video if possible, if it's comfortable. Please be on the video. It'll be nice to see everyone's face while we're chanting as well. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, just one last announcement. So, we will also be sharing a link for capturing your details, like I had mentioned in the beginning of the class. So, please, I think you have the link right now. Okay, we'll share that in the WhatsApp group. So, please fill in your details. It will just help us. Say, for example, someone doesn't have a Bhagavad Gita, we can send them the copy of Bhagavad Gita or any other thing. So it'll be just helpful for us to interact with you a lot better. So if you can share your details on the link that'll be shared in the group, that'll be great. So with that, thank you so much. It was really, really nice to be with you all on a Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for taking out time so early in the morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.